fancy airbrush arrived sometime around Thanksgiving, or maybe shortly before that last year. I was watching one of my favorite miniature painting channels on YouTube, Squidmar. And Squidmar is a painter, creator from Sweden. And he had some sort of tie-in that had started with the noted airbrush company out of Germany, Harder Steenbeck, to produce a named airbrush, which was going to be a souped-up, refined version of their famous Evolution model. Now, I've never had a Harder Steenbeck. I was put off not by the quality, but by the steep price and the fact that why should a fellow who's just a regular commuter driver be driving a Formula One car, to use that analogy? That would sort of be me using a Harder Steenbeck airbrush. So I avoided the pitch, although I admitted it looked like a beautiful airbrush and I knew the quality would be amazing. However, probably a week or two later, on the Ninjon YouTube channel, another of the creators who I watch and follow, John had received his Squidmar airbrush and proceeded to give it a glowing review. Now, I have to admit that John could probably convince me to start buying sand and coming up with an export scheme to Saudi Arabia, or trying to capture the coal market to sell it back to Newcastle, to borrow some old stock phrases. Anyway, he was very convincing, and I went out and ordered one on the internet immediately. Squidmar's link takes you directly to the Harder Steenbeck site. I thought I'd probably get it fairly quickly since this was a limited edition. The pitch and demand was so successful that I believe Harder Steenbeck decided to expand their offerings, and as far as I understand, they pretty much handcraft these airbrushes. These are craftsman made. So it took a while for this to be built. After 2 emails, I discovered that my airbrush would be built in early January and shipped to me somewhere around the middle of this month. And indeed it was. So let's take a look at what came inside. I already took off this fancy sort of, miniature cool little cardboard cover. And now you get this amazing case here, with the company name. And inside, you've got this gorgeous airbrush. Fancy. I've never seen one that fancy. With sort of engraved gold coloring on it. 2 different cups. It comes with, I believe, a 0.2 mm needle and nozzle and a 0.4, which is inside there. It also has 2 cups. There's the large one there. There's the smaller one. They're detachable, of course. The dual action, trigger action is just amazing. It's got a quick release valve. Now, I don't have the other end for a quick release, so I had to detach that valve at the bottom or attachment to try it out on my 2 compressors, the mini compressor and the large compressor. And it is just brilliant. So far, I'll admit, I've only sprayed some clear varnish through it. I think the one drawback of this is it's so pretty, I almost can't bear the thought of getting paint on it. And when I airbrush, paint goes in a lot of places that it isn't supposed to. I'm wondering how it'll clean up on the outside. The design is incredible. I now have a Formula One airbrush for my very pedestrian needs. Actually, I've got 3 airbrushes because here's my trusty Iwata detached right now, my workhorse, which I did succeed in stripping down and cleaning out. So that down at the bottom is sort of sealing tape. I forget what they call that, to ensure a tight fit. But it's working fine now. And of course I've got the cheapo airbrush that sort of was the throw-in for the portable pistol grip compressor. And that's working fine too. So I've got 3 airbrushes, a tool for something I don't really like using all that much. But it is a necessity for model making and painting, or at least I think so. And speaking of painting, okay, what did we get done? Yeah, I got the little 1/72nd figure there. Let's see if we can get some better light here on him. There we go, there we go. And there. That's to give you an idea how tiny he is. I did him in, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. That's one thing about very small figures. It doesn't take a lot of time to cover the figure. The time is just going to be spent in trying to be careful in those very tight spaces. And he looks pretty good. The credit really goes to the company, Munich Kits, that sculpted and produced these very fine little plastic figures. So I've got 1 painted and I guess 11 more to go. I really should hold off now that I've got this baby. I better get to finishing up that Fokker D8 because I still need to put the German green on the parasail wing now that I've got it primed. And then we can see if I can get that plane wrapped up by the end of this month. Okay, we'll close out with my little German officer here.